Welcome to Astro Science Academy, and today we'll be doing algebra, right, for question 1, right? So now, as you can see, they said solve for x, right? So for 1.1, which says x squared minus 2x is equal to 8. So now, when you get into a scenario like this, you need to make sure that this question is in a standard form. So in order for a question to be in a standard form, the equation must be equal to 0. So over here, you're going to say x squared minus 2x. You're going to transpose 8 this side, and then this will be minus 8 is equal to 0, right? So now, once you reach over here, you are going to factorize this, right? You're going to factorize this. You're going to have x this side, right? Then you're going to take your calculators, right? So for those with this type of calculator, it will be easier for them to work with this, right? So now, let's get our factors here quickly. So now we got, so a is 1, right? Minus 2, b is minus 2, and c is minus 8. So we got 4 and negative 2. So that will be plus 2 and minus 4. Right, so now these are our factors now. So this will be x plus 2 is equal to 0, or x minus 4 is equal to 0. Now this will be x is equal to negative 2, or x is equal to 4. And that's it, right? So now remember to show all the steps over here, right? So now for 1.1.2, which tells us 4x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0, right? Now they tell you answer correct to 2 decimal places. So now this tells you already you must use your quadratic formula, right? So now in this scenario, a is equal to 4, b is equal to negative 1, and c is equal to negative 2, right? So now you're going to have to use your quadratic formula. Now you're going to say x is equal to negative b, positive or minus, square root, right, b squared minus 4ac all over, right, 2a. So now x will be equal to negative, b is negative 1, like that, close bracket, positive or minus, square root, close bracket, b is negative 1, close bracket, squared minus 4a is 4, c is negative 2, close bracket, all over 2, a is 4. So now x will be equal to, or x will be equal to. So now you're going to pick your calculator. Now go back, right? So now you have a as 4, b is negative 1, right? c is negative 2, right? So now you have your answers as, remember to write them into decimal points, right? So this will be 0.84, or the other one will be negative 0.59. So you got negative 0.59 or 0.84. Right, let's recheck that one more time. So we got, yes, right, and the other one is negative 0.59. This is a 9, right? So we got that, right? So now let's have a look at 1.1.3. So now we got 1.1.3, which tells us x, open bracket, x minus 1, close bracket, is greater than or equal to 6. So now these are inequality questions, right? So what I will advise you to do again, you always put it in a standard form. Remember the standard form, standard form is when ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. It must be equal to 0, right? The equation must be equal to 0. So now let's have a look. So over here, this is not in a factors form, right? Because it's not in a standard form, because we got 6 on this side, right? So over here, what we have to do is multiply this inside. So now you're gonna have x squared, right, minus x, right, is greater than or equal to 6. Now transpose 6 this side, you'll have x squared minus x minus 6 is greater than or equal to 0. right? So now once you reach here, now we can factorize. Remember always to leave your answer in a factors form over here, right? So you got x here, x here. You can grab your calculator quickly for the factors, right? So you got 1, a is 1, b is -1, and c is -6, right? So we got 3 and -2, so that will be +2 and -3. So now since you got it like that, right, is greater than equal to 0, and your a over here, as you can see, is positive, you are going to draw a graph, right? So now this comes to a little bit of functions over here, right? This is a quadratic function, right? Since a is positive, you're gonna draw a graph over here, right? You're gonna draw a graph, something like that. And since it's positive, the a is positive, that means your function will be facing upwards. Your graph will be facing upwards like that, right? Will be facing up like that. Now you know your critical values over here. We know that x is equal to -2 and or x is equal to +3. So now for the +3, you are going to put it here now, right? So +3 to be this side, right? Because the numbers, remember, this side are increasing and this side the numbers are decreasing, right? So now there's a positive one, you put it up here, +3, and this side it will be -2, right? So now the function wants this function to be greater than 0, right? So as you can see over here, up here is when the function is positive, and down here is when the function is what? Negative. This side is positive, this side is positive, down here is negative, 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 right? So now as you can see, they said x squared minus x minus 6 is greater than 0. So now you can see it's only above 0 when this function is greater than what? Greater than 3, or is when it's less than what? Is less than -2. So now your answers over here is going to be, therefore x is less than or equal to -2, or x is greater than or equal to what? 3. And this is how you answer, right? So make sure when you answer, you draw this graph. You have to draw this graph. It's part of your solution. Remember to draw it. So remember, the first step, you always put it in a standard form, right? Standard form right here. And then you factorize. That's the second step. Second step, you factorize, put in a standard form, factorize. Then you show your critical values. Not necessary, but yeah, you can show them. And then you do what? You sketch this graph, and always make sure your a is positive. If you get an a that's negative, you make it to be positive by dividing throughout, right? I'll show you guys more example based on that, right? And then you use your graph to write your answers, just like that, right? So that's how we answer inequalities, right? So now let's move on. So now we're gonna see question 1.1.4. So now as you can see, question 1.1.4 says, we can do it over here. You can say 1.1.4 says 2x positive square root x plus 1 is equal to 1. So now over here, whichever has a square root, right? You have to put the ones with the square root on one side, and the values that don't have the square root, you put it on the other side. So now the first step over here, what we're going to do is transpose this side, right? So this is a 2x. We are going to transpose this side, right? It's going to be a minus. So now you'll be left with square root x plus 1 is equal to 1 minus 2x, right? Now the next step will be to remove the square root. So now you're going to square both sides, right? Going to square both sides. So you're going to square here, right? So now this cancels out, right? So now you'll have x plus 1 is equal to 1 minus 2x, close bracket, 1 minus 2x, right? So now you'll have x plus 1 is equal to 1 times 1, that will give you 1. 1 times -2, that will be minus 2x. Negative 2x times 1, that will be minus 2x. Negative 2x times negative 2x, that will be positive 4x squared. Now this, you will have x plus 1. This will be 1 minus 4x plus 4x squared. Right. So now you can transpose everything this side, put in a standard form. Now 0 is equal to 4x squared minus 4x plus 1 minus x plus, no, let's erase that. Yeah, we got that. Okay, now minus x, it will be minus 1. Right. So now 0 is equal to 4x squared. So now minus 4x minus x, that will give you minus 5x. 1 minus 1, that will be 0. Right. So now, as you can see, we can solve this now, right? So as you can see, we have x over here as a common factor, right? So take x out as a common factor, you remain with 4x minus 5. Right. So now this equation now is in a factors form, right? So as also you can see that I'm keeping a 0 over here. You must put that as 0, right? So now here you can have x is equal to 0, right? Or 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. So now you're gonna say 4x is equal to 5. You transpose the 5 that side, gonna divide by 4, gonna divide by 4. So cancels out. So therefore x is equal to 5 over 4. Right. And that will be our final answers. Now we got 2x values. So now you need to test, right? This is not a final answer. We need to test now, right? So you're gonna come back to this equation over here, right? You're gonna come back to this equation up here, right? We are going to test now. So you're going to take this x value and substitute over here wherever there's x to see if it will give you 1 as your final answer. So now I'm gonna take it over here. All right, let's put this over here. Right. So now let's use a calculator to do that. We're testing, so let's start with 0. So 2 times 0, right, plus square root 0 plus 1. Now our final answer is 1. We got 1. So now let's try 5 over 4. Let's see if 5 over 4 is going to give us 1 again. 5 over 4, and over here let's try 5 over 4 again. 5 all over 4, right? We got 4, right? And we wanted 1. So therefore you're gonna come, therefore x is equal to 0, and this cannot be equal to that, so you indicate that, right? And we are going to stop here for today. So thank you guys for attending, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.